Hey everyone, this is Chase with Into the Fray. To start off today's episode, we just want to give you a warning that this episode contains explicit content, so it may not be suitable for all ages. We hope you enjoy this episode and thanks for listening.
The fray. I'm Austin.
I'm Robbie.
How was your vacation?
Oh, it was really good. It was really good. Very, very needed. A week at youth camp. Home on Friday night. Unpacked, clean clothes, repacked, and left Saturday morning for a family vacation. So the timing was phenomenal. I needed a little vacay. Youth camp was good too. Seeing those kids, man, watch God move and them just kind of peel back the normacy of worship. Mm-hmm. And it was really good to see them just God at work. But yeah, it was always good to go on family vacation, man, because I'm one of those, I like to do as much, because I got a list in my head of things that need to be done. And so I'm check, and then knowing that I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks in a row, like just amplified that. Yeah. And then there comes a point of like, I've done all I can do. It'll be here waiting, God, Lord willing, when I get back. Yeah. And I can check out. I used to not be able to do that. It's taken me a while, but the last few years, when I'm out. I'm fully engaged with my family, been able to rest. It doesn't bother me at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So do y'all take I've seen a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like a huge group of y'all going on these vacations?
Well, this time, yes. I mean, usually we go during this time of the year, June, with the family. And this year, two of our, since Griffin was probably maybe, 7 or 8 travel ball families. One lives in Lowndes County and the other in Cook County, that we've known, obviously, for 12, 13 years kind of thing. We love them. My wife is really good friends with the wives, and I love the guys as well. So, yeah, we just decided, hey, we're going to do kind of a multi-family vacation. And so it was 2 other families plus my in-laws. My father-in-law and mother-in-law went. So, yeah, it was, interesting. Yeah. It makes things, when you get that many people together. Yeah. It's kind of cool, but it was really, really good.
So do y'all split off though at times and do things with your own families?
No, pretty much we were together. The thing about it this time though is we were only all together for like a day or 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so you had some that couldn't come until later in the week. You had some that had to leave midweek for other things, just kid stuff, work stuff, whatever kind of thing. So yeah, all of us at one time were probably there maybe a day and a half kind of deal.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually the one day that the full day, half of us went deep sea fishing. So we didn't even see the other ones until that night. So yeah, it was good. But yeah, we did everything together. Right. A lot of late nights playing Uno. Yeah, very competitive Uno.
You ever play Face 10?
No, I've not.
That's fun.
Oh yeah,
it's like a step above Uno, a little more complicated.
Okay. Oh yeah, well they complicated my Uno because the rules.
They do doubles or something.
Oh yeah, doubles and draw until you get one. Like all this kind of new stuff. Like I'm like, hey, how we play?
Yeah.
But it's just funny, man, because we love each other. It's just like even doing a church thing. We love Jesus, we love each other, but we are extremely competitive. And so yeah, we get after it, like to smack talk a little bit, that kind of stuff, all in fun. Yeah. But it was really fun. Good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like smack talk never works well for me.
Kind of comes back and bites you.
Yeah. I'm not a super competitive person.
Mm-hmm.
But so usually with we do family game nights.
Yep.
I'm just a person just trying to annoy you to death until you just give out.
Oh wow.
Everyone else is competing. I'm just I'm here. Let me see how much I can annoy you during this game.
Wow.
Get you off track.
Mind games. I'm with you. Now you mentioned you were off as well. Any trips for you or?
No, I did that last Friday. I got to go see my best friend.
Okay.
He moved 2 hours away from here.
Okay.
And his car's still here at his dad's and needs to be fixed. So he's coming back down to fix it. Mm-hmm. So I went and picked him up, brought him back. We played some disc golf.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've done
Yeah,
that.
I have never done it. I've watched it kind of thing, but no, it's pretty.
It made me miss when he used to live here. Me and him, he was my buddy I'd go kayaking with all the time and play disc golf with all the time. And I mean, he's been gone for 2 years, so I haven't had him to do that with. Especially disc golf, like kayaking is easy to find a replacement.
Yeah.
But disc golf is not.
Yeah.
And so we finally played after 2 years, and we were actually better.
Than when you played last.
Yeah, and
you had not played since.
No, that was it was like okay, maybe we needed this. And yeah, it was fun.
Are you pretty good at disc golf? I didn't know that about you. I'm just curious.
I think so.
Yeah.
I guess I'm better than the average person who plays, because the average person who plays is just
Yeah. I can't throw a frisbee straight on a beach. Is the reason I asked. So yeah, I'd probably be hard.
Yeah, I can throw. Yeah, I'm good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Have you ever done? You do a hole in one kind of thing?
Oh heck no.
No.
Especially not at these courses.
Okay.
We go to Freedom Park, and
yeah. Well, see, I've seen doing baseball tournaments and stuff there. I've seen them have,
Yeah.
I guess, a tournament or whatever it is. Yeah, at the same time.
I think there's only one hole that you could maybe get a hole in one on.
Uh-huh.
The rest, there's way too many trees.
Huh.
And there's like a couple holes where you're just throwing, hoping that you get somewhere near that goal.
Okay.
But I'm pretty good, and better definitely this last time. I was throwing it from pretty far away and making it in. I was like, yo, I got it. I got it bad.
Imagine too being someone who can't throw a frisbee 10 feet straight. There's a lot of technique and stuff to it too. I mean, it's not just like throwing it straight. I mean, you got to be able to throw it with angles and calculate the wind. I mean, stuff that you would with anything, playing golf or anything else. But yeah,
we didn't have to think about the wind too much. It wasn't a windy day, but you definitely, we used to bring a friend. I'll put him out there, Jacob.
Okay.
Jacob can't throw a frisbee at all.
Really? See, Jacob and I would need to walk together then.
He throws it like it's like holding a plate standing up.
Yep.
He throws it like that.
Okay.
That you can't do that.
Yeah.
That doesn't do anything. But that's how he just always throws.
Okay.
And then two, there's like a one guy who some people throw it like way too hard.
Yeah.
Which definitely is like a danger. But it's more so like just flicking your wrist and letting go at the right time. And yeah.
Okay, so I play golf. So like if you throw one, you try to throw it too hard or something, you have to yell 4 if it's going on the other side in disc.
No.
You don't ever hit anybody?
No.
Okay.
It's not a popular sport.
You're the only one out there.
Yeah. That was nice too. Of like because usually we try to bring like a group with us and like really get some competition going.
Huh.
This time it was a last minute thing of like, hey, let's stop by and play some disc golf.
Yeah.
We ran through that course so fast. It was so nice because it was also like steaming hot.
Yeah.
And so.
And you're walking it obviously the entire time. Yeah.
Because we were always the better 2 players of the groups that we would bring. We just running through that course. It was nice. Yeah.
Cool. Learn something new every day.
Yeah. So today we're talking about sex again. We're gonna
sex again. That's all we talk about on this podcast. If it's your first time tuning in. No, I'm kidding.
But I think this one will be maybe we'll go a little bit more deeper than we did on the last time when me, you, and Ryan talked about it.
Yep.
And so I think it'd be good to go listen to that episode first. That sets things up. And this time we'll just go a little bit deeper.
Yep.
But I want to start with like why I had this conversation about sex, hookup culture, 1 Corinthians, and how like Christianity was Christianity's view on sex and marriage and the body and all that stuff. How it interacted with the culture's view, and how that can apply today in our culture as well. Because I think there's a lot we can learn from them, and
definitely.
Then 2, the big one is masturbation.
Yeah.
So like, what do we do about that?
Yeah. And Austin, not to cut you off, but when the episode Austin mentioned with he and Ryan and myself was specifically more geared, I guess, toward, or not, it was more geared toward pornography.
Yeah.
Which
Heard about that.
is not talked about a lot, but at least it is a little bit, I guess, in the Christian realm. Masturbation, on the other hand, like, I don't know, people, it's probably right now hearing the word out loud and coming from a pastor's mouth, and maybe you're like tensing up, like, can you really say that? Yeah, okay, I did twice. You know what I mean? Like, but it's one of those things that, I mean, I don't understand why. I mean, I do understand why we don't talk about it, but sex in general, sexuality, masturbation, those kind of things, like, we should be talking about that, you know, and we're going to, you know, get into it a little deeper, but if you've got kids, again, I mean, you definitely need to be talking to them about it.
Yes. I think
it's age appropriate, of course.
Yeah.
You know, if they're too young, kind of thing. I mean, you know them the best, but I mean, and I say not only because obviously, you know, them seeing something, you know, on YouTube or whatever kind of thing on their phone, or hearing it at school, or, you know, somebody telling them something at school, but even stuff that's just in their minds, and they're questioning their own, you know, okay, body's changing, you know, what about this or that? I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that maybe they're not sharing with anybody.
Yeah.
And you're the one that's, you know, needs to be speaking truth into their life.
You know, one of the thoughts I had preparing for this episode is, like, sometimes as Christians we act like parts of our body don't exist, and, like, we don't ever talk about it, and it's like, no, like, especially if you're a teenage boy, things exist and we need to talk about it. We, like, you know, I wish sometimes that some of the older guys would have given me some more insight on some things, and especially how to combat them. But then you can't even blame them, because then you're like, man, I'm not sure if anyone told them either. Like, for a lot of us, it's you figure it out as you go. And I hate that, because you then our culture's not afraid to talk about this topic. And even, like, you know, I listen to a lot of Jordan Peterson. He's on Joe Rogan talking about this stuff. You know, he's trying to he sees the issue that, like, hookup culture has in our society, and how we view sex, and how, like, the damaging that can be to people, and he's speaking to it. And so it's like, well, man, as a church, we have something really beautiful to offer. There's no reason why we shouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah, and this is nothing new. I mean, I know we're going to get into this, but just as you were, you know, saying that, Corinth. All right, so 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Paul's writing to a group of believers, new churches in Corinth. And it's not just Corinth, Ephesus, Philippi. I mean, all, you know, Rome. Doesn't matter which one. It had not just this plethora of spirituality and all kind of background and stuff like that, but sexuality, I mean, was rampant. I mean, we gotta act like this is like, okay, well, we live in this age where everything's new. You know, they don't, the Bible's antiquated, like it's, you know, it didn't know what's up, you know, kind of thing with it. Are you serious? Like, so in Corinth, Paul writes to them, and they've got some questions for him. I mean, so if you go to, like, 1 Corinthians 6 and 7 and throughout, you'll see Paul's responding to some of their questions. And so the church is asking the question, and it's about sex. It's about the flesh. It's about marriage. It's about singleness. It's about all these, you know, issues kind of thing. So they're asking then. I think we should be asking and, you know, listening now. But there was two main things that were going on. Okay, so you have temple prostitution. Paul addresses it. All right. Second thing is you've got a son that's sleeping with his stepmom, and the church is aware of it. And they're asking the question, and basically that one or two things. Either one, they knew about it but didn't know if it was right or wrong. Now, I don't think that was the case. The second option is this. They knew about it, they knew it was wrong, and they didn't say anything. They didn't do anything. Now, to me, like, okay, does that not resound with today? I mean, as the church, do we either know it's right or wrong and don't say anything, or we know it's wrong and yet we sit by and idly say nothing? I think it's, the latter. So it's tough. I know. But they're asking those questions because, again, the culture that they're coming out of, man, I mean, the sexuality just in Corinth. I mean, if you just take Corinth, I don't know if you were going to bring this up or not. But just that, I mean, temple prostitution, not as much in Paul's day, I mean, at the height of it, but they would have 1,000 temple prostitutes. every afternoon, the male and female prostitutes would come into the city in Corinth looking for customers. And you just think supply and demand, well, there was a reason there were so many of them. They did not run out. And you know what I mean? The guys, husbands, constantly, men in general, were obviously customers, clients, or whatever you want to call, of temple prostitution. So Paul has to address that. I mean, it was an issue. But not only that, man, men, a lot of the husbands, they had mistresses, visit prostitutes. They would have concubines. I mean, there was all kind of like otherness. Why? Because they treated their wives as a means to an end.
Yes.
That they could kind of toss away or put to the side. And then you think, okay, so that's how the men saw themselves. So when Paul breaks out in 1 Corinthians 7, and he talks about the body, and he says, all right, dudes, if I can Robbie Rowe paraphrase, your body is not yours. It belongs to her. Mm-hmm. And her body belongs to you. For them, they like that last one. Oh, yeah, her body belongs to me. I can do whatever I want. When I don't want, I can shove it to the side and then find somewhere else. But he's like, no, hold up a second. The first is true, too. Your body is one and one. She belongs to you. You belong to her and no other. And that was radical for them. It was like, no, she is your wife. You know, she's the only one that should, you know, fulfill the desires. And he unpacks that beautifully there. But it was totally countercultural what Paul was speaking truth into them. But it's all they knew. That's the world they came out of. And they just brought it into the church. They're like, hey, I don't know what to do with it. So is it right or wrong? You know, should I say anything or not? And Paul's like, yes, you address it because you know what the truth is.
Yeah. So I'm reading this book, and this is kind of what jogged this topic back up for me, was Dominion by Tom Holland. Mm-hmm. Okay. Comer and Chandler and all them, they've all been recommending it. And it's interesting because you're like seeing the Christianity take shape over like hundreds and thousands of years. Mm-hmm. And it's like this ragtag like group of people trying to follow the way, and that's what they called Christianity back then. Mm-hmm. And so it's like so interesting because these group of people are genuinely setting themselves apart from the culture they're in. Yes. But also keeping an open invitation to anybody come join. Mm-hmm. And when it came to sex, he was Tom Holland. He's not, as far as I know, he's not a Christian. He was talking about how challenging 1 Corinthians was, because you have Paul telling this new group of believers of this religion that's kind of just now taking shape, and he's like, "Hey, you're going to be different. Mm-hmm. We're calling you to something better, something greater." Yeah. And it was so countercultural, and Christian. It's not like the Christians were these privileged group of people. Like, they're already being oppressed. Their savior just got brutally murdered, and a lot of the leaders are being attacked, and they're still like devoted to no, but we're going to do things the way Jesus would, and that means we're still like every aspect of our lives we're going to let Jesus take over, including our sex lives and how we think of the body and all that stuff. And it was interesting because it's like, it made me think about our culture today and how, like, as Christians, sometimes we can feel the need to conform to the culture standards and to adapt and be like, "Well, we get rid of some of this old Jesus stuff." And
old way of thinking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's
we're beyond that
with
now.
The culture.
We're much more sophisticated, and we know better.
It'd be easier for us. We'd make more of it. More people would become Christians.
Sure.
And it's like, dude, that when you go back and look at church history, that wasn't their mindset at all. Of like, and which is interesting too, because I think sometimes the misconception is that if you make something acceptable to everybody, you make it really easy, then everybody's going to do it. Sure. But that's never the case. No. It's actually, if you bring a challenge to people, people, the like deepest parts of them is going to see that, and they're going to be like, ultimately, that's something I'm craving. I'm craving to be called to something greater than myself. and so they give their lives for it.
Yeah.
And that's what you're seeing like going on with these Christians is like they're stepping into their culture and they're saying, hey, even in your sex lives, we're calling you to something greater.
Mm-hmm.
Come join us.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole idea of like your bodies are a temple of the Holy Spirit is crazy because like here I got this quote. It said, sex was nothing if not an exercise of power, as captured cities were to the swords of the legions, so the bodies of those used sexually were to the Roman man.
Yeah.
To be penetrated, male or female, was to be branded as inferior, to be marked as a womanist, a barbarian, servile, while the body of a freeborn Roman was sacrosanct. Those of others were fair game. It is accepted that every master is entitled to use his slave as he desires. And then this last line is, in Rome, men no more hesitated to use slaves and prostitutes to relieve themselves of their sexual needs than they did to use the side of the road as a toilet. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I remember reading that the first time and being like, dude, they had such a low view of the body, especially others' bodies. And so, like, you're reading that and you're like, man, it is how they viewed sex was very self-centered. It was fill my needs, even if it means I'm abusing you to fill my needs.
Yes.
And then I think about hookup culture, and I'm like, well, that's kind of it's what's going on. It's like, I'm gonna go sleep with 10 different women, not care how they feel, not check up on them, just use and toss them out and go to the next one. All so that I can get that release.
Yeah.
You know?
And the thing is too, Paul does this, Jesus does this when talking about marriage. Paul does this in 1 Corinthians. They always go back to the beginning, Genesis 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Always going back there before the fall. And the beautiful design, because we didn't invent sex, God did. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it was Tim Keller who said, if you're prudish, the Bible will offend you really quick. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get uncomfortable really quick. Read the Song of Solomon, read Genesis 1 and 2, naked and unashamed. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's stuff that's going to make you, Ecclesiastes, Proverbs, there's places just going to make you really uncomfortable. And guess what? This is God's design. Let me say this too, Austin, because we will run to the one side that, for Corinth, it was sex craved. Yeah. Like you said, man, it was just sex. But what's crazy is the same. Okay, so within the church, in that same letter in 1 Corinthians 7, Paul not only has to address, in chapter 6, prostitution.
Yeah.
And before that, sleeping with your stepmom. But then he also has to address those who are married who are withholding sex.
Yeah.
So the pendulum swung the complete opposite way.
Yeah.
So one was like, do whatever you want, doesn't matter, it's your body, who cares kind of thing, whatever. But just like with John having to write John and 1st and 2nd and 3rd John on to Gnostics about the flesh being evil, this sort of thing, they would take the view, okay, well, if we've got to go anti-sex crave, it means we withhold sex within the marriage covenant. And Paul's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
No. And so, like, when I talk to believers, married couples, we always run to like Genesis 1:27 or Genesis 1 and 2, and we go to procreation. Like, that's what it's for. And, if I'm an unbeliever, okay, to procreate, to multiply, I mean, that serves a purpose, I reckon. But God gave it also for pleasure, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just to procreate, because if that was the case, every time you did, you would procreate. Like, God gave you this beautiful, powerful gift. Mm-hmm. That is to be used according to his sovereign decree, his design, his plan. But for believers, I think I said this, before, like having somebody say, that for Christians that sex is born, I asked the question, I just propose that, man, maybe you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
To the person who says that or thinks that, because it is this beautiful, powerful thing that God has designed, and God is more for your pleasure, your joy, all the things that you long for than you are or ever could be. He's the one who created it. So even those desires, man, they're God-given.
Yeah.
The problem is we get them, they're twisted and perverted and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I want to point that out because it's so easy to, we can bash against sex crave and that sort of thing. But Paul had to deal with, the church doing what we do.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. A lot of churches do that, right? Like, they don't want to talk about sex. They don't want to talk about, anything dealing with sex. It's just kind of almost anti-sex.
Yeah.
And Paul would say, no, don't. And actuality, and I know Mark Driscoll, I know there was a ton of kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that. But in that letter, you read 1 Corinthians 7. Paul's like, okay, so you guys you're in the marriage covenant. You're in this beautiful relationship. If you're withholding from one another, if you're doing that, not by command, he says, but if you're doing it, it better be with a purpose.
Yeah.
And that purpose is worship, prayer, kind of like fasting.
Yeah.
Like, and again, man, there's so much, like, when people say about the Bible, oh, it's old, like, is that not true today? Like, do people not use sex as a means to an end, withhold sex to gain a purpose or, to be vengeful or what? Yeah, of course they do. They use it as a tool. Paul's addressing it in 1 Corinthians 7. Same thing.
Yeah, that's interesting because then it kind of like brings to mind when it says, don't deprive one another except perhaps by agreement for a limited time, that you may devote yourselves to prayer.
Yeah.
But then come together against that Satan may not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. The thing it did remind me of was fasting. Of you give up eating for a limited time. The goal is never to do that forever.
Sure.
You give it up for a limited time, and what it's doing is it's helping you reprioritize your life again. You're building up that self-control, that patience, and it's supposed to push you closer to Jesus. But when you're depriving your spouse of it out of anger or bitterness, you're not having the heart of Christ. And I think that was the other thing that was interesting to me about how, like, when Paul talks about sex, because of being so self-centered in that culture, he's saying the thing that came to mind was like Ephesians when Paul says to love your wives as Christ loved the church, 5, and he goes into like detail of like you're gonna love her so well that she's gonna look like a well-watered vine or something like that, and how so much of Christianity, the way it was, what was so radical about it was built on this idea of love God and love people. And everything you're doing, you're trying to find a way to love God and love people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even in the marriage bed.
In the marriage bed, for sure. Man, I freak people out when I tell them, like, 1 Corinthians 10:31, whether you eat or drink, whatever you do it all for the glory of God. Sex would be one of those within the marriage covenant. Can I glorify God with intimacy with my wife? Well, if eating and drinking, you can either do it for the glory of God or to dishonor the Lord, I think that applies as well.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, in all of those, man, I don't care if it's 1 Corinthians 13, Ephesians 5, you mentioned, 1 Corinthians 7, like, within that confine of this marriage covenant, okay, so we are, Ephesians 2, we're to think of others more than ourselves. So it's to be selfless. We're to sacrifice for our spouse. We are to serve. Well, now, let's take those into the bedroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and see, that's the kind of stuff we don't think, because again, it's so anti-cultural now, but it's also then. So when Paul's writing this, he's like, see, your mind is release, pleasure, me, in every aspect, including in the bedroom kind of thing. And Paul's like, no, actually, you're to think of others. You're to think of your spouse before yourself. And again, I think it's Timothy Keller, I should have wrote down, who said that within the marriage, the greatest pleasure between a husband and a wife should be the spouse's pleasure. So my greatest pleasure should be her pleasure.
Yeah.
Carrie, my wife's, and so when you think of that mentality, it goes, both, and again, it's not, okay, well, I'm going to do this so that I get that kind of thing. But
of like, I'm happy when she's happy.
Yeah.
And making her happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's communicating.
Yeah.
There's actually talking. And again, that may be foreign to some people, that you can actually be naked, but there be shame. Right? Like, let's just be real. Like, within the marriage bed, the husband and the wife not communicating. What I mean by that is, okay, what is pleasing?
Yeah.
What is not? And let's just be open, naked, and unashamed. Let's
Yeah.
be honest with one another.
Yeah, it reminds me of Matt Chandler in, I think when he was doing the Mingling of Souls series. Someone, of course, brings up the question of, well, what if they're not good at it? And he's like, teach them, practice. And he was talking about something else. Like he was talking about singles in the dating scene, kissing.
Yeah.
Like, well, I need to,
Yeah.
and having sex, I think too, of like,
Yeah.
I need to go experiment with a bunch of different people so I'm prepared and ready for that
sure.
one.
That is a mentality.
And he was like, no.
Yeah.
The best practice you're going to ever have with somebody is going to be that one
Yes.
person you settle down with, because you both can work together as a unit and get better over time.
Yes. And to the intimacy of it. And what I mean by that is not just, figuring things out and getting better or whatever, but man, it is the mingling of the souls, I think, was a brilliant title because, again, when Paul in 1 Corinthians 6 talks about the guys who are going and sleeping with the prostitutes, he said, don't you know that you're one with them?
Yeah.
Like you're one with the Lord, and you're going out and hooking up with a prostitute, which means and we know this even today. I mean, people today, psychiatrists, they will say this, like, okay, you want to go around sleeping around, we know it's more than just sex.
Yes.
We know that. Emotionally, mentally, the whole nine. Well, that's what Paul's saying. Like, when you are intimate with someone else, you are mingling souls. Because that's how God designed the anatomy, our bodies, this covenant relationship, this to be this form of just beautiful intimacy. And he was like, you're wasting that and you're attaching that. And just be real. We're just gonna be real honest, okay? Yeah. If you slept around before you got married, you would be a liar if you said there was not a different connection with that person. I don't care if it was a hookup or you dated them for 10 years, than it was with another classmate. You know it is. You know what I mean? And it's the same. So when Paul writes that, he's like, it's not just sex. And our culture wants to say it is. It's just sex.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think it was Andy Stanley, heard years ago in reference to that. It was just physical kind of thing. And he talked about, whether it was rape and how usually, if it's especially women, but I have counseled men who have been raped, they don't tell anybody. Mm-hmm. Well, if it's just physical, why is it so hard to get over? And again, I understand it's force. I get that.
Yeah.
But
touch is a very sacred thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the point.
Yeah.
Same thing for children that are abused by someone, a relative. People that you are positions of authority or relatives or whatever, they hurt you in other ways. Why is that so different? And again, I know that's abuse kind of thing in a different way, but there is something about sex, again, that just takes it next level. But when it comes to the hookups and all, it's just physical. It's just sex. There's nothing to it. She didn't mean anything.
Our culture doesn't even believe that. The thing that made me that came to mind was those two movies, No Strings Attached and Friends with Benefits.
Yeah. Okay.
I ain't seen them, so don't hold me to it.
I'm with the titles though.
Yeah.
Okay. I know what
but from my understanding, the plot of those movies is them two people thinking that it's just sex, and then at the end of the day being like, no, something has happened between us.
Yeah.
We have caught feelings. We've seen the most intimate sides of each other, and we can't go back. Like something has lasting effects now. Yep. And I think that's part of this conversation too. Of sex is, I like that Christianity has this high view of sex. Of it's not just you're not just two animals having rolling around in the mud. You're two people with souls, and you're like the high view of the body. Yes. And something really intimate and deep and it's gonna last forever is happening in that moment, and that means you should treat it with care and gentleness, and especially not only because it's gonna do damage to you if you don't have a high view of sex in the body, but then going back to loving others, you should love the other person enough to know that how I'm treating them through the whole hookup culture and whatnot, it does affect that other person.
Yes.
Of it's crazy how many times yeah, we've met with people who say they had sex before marriage, and they kind of went through that scene of all the stuff that they're having to work through of like, well, the person just tossed me to the side afterwards, and like now I've got like abandonment issues or low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And you're just like, now you got to work through that.
Yeah. The implications, like you said, for both parties. Because again, if we talk about, the Corinthian culture, Rome, or we talk about rape or something, people will easily disconnect because they're like, well, this is consensual. This is just two people hooking up. There's nothing to it kind of thing. But again, there's lasting implications on both sides. I remember, just think about this story. So there was a guy who that was his whole thing, was going out in college and just hooking up. It was just kind of dominate, see how many girls he could hook up, almost like a game, He gets saved, starts attending a local gathering kind of thing. He kind of commits to not that lifestyle kind of deal. But then some of the men in the group started noticing that he was just dominating conversations, that he was ruling over people, that he was like winning at stuff. And the point of that story is there's some underlying stuff, whether it's I'm going and seeing how many people I can hook up with, or I'm in a Bible study and I'm not loving and serving and listening. And
That's good, yeah.
He never dealt with the underlying issue. It doesn't just go away because you stop doing something. But I promise you this, if you keep feeding it in and thinking we talked about this in the porn episode, whatever you feed grows. And if you're feeding, whether it's pornography, that animal will grow and turn on you really quick. But if it's the hookup culture, those issues that are there, that's causing not only you to do that, but just underlying stuff, they're not going away. I mean, the more you hook up with people, the self-esteem, the longing for true connection, it's getting worse and worse. Because you're not finding something that your soul's longing for.
Yeah. I'm going to make another reference.
No, go ahead.
New Girl. You have
okay, don't know that one.
Amazing show.
Okay.
But there's a character.
Oh, it is a good show.
It's an amazing
show. Okay.
I watch it all the time.
New Girl. Okay.
It sounds like a girly show.
It does. I'm
not
not judging. Yeah. I'm just whatever, dude. Okay.
Most of the cast is guys.
Okay.
But there's one guy in the show called Schmidt. And no, funny name. But he's the guy who does the hookup culture. Like he's hooking up with all these beautiful women.
Yeah.
And there comes a point where he's like hooking up with his boss, and they've literally made like a contract so that they don't get in trouble and they can use each other however they want.
Okay.
And they get to a point to where they're not satisfied.
Yeah.
And they're laying in bed, and he's like, I don't know, like we're good at this. Mm-hmm. Like we're the best.
Yeah.
Why is this not working? Why do we feel empty?
Huh.
And she's like, well, it's because this isn't just an act. Like this is supposed to be for something more. And he's like, frick, I have to be in love. And like he like kind of breaks, and he's like, I didn't know I had to be in love to have good sex. But like he had went through this phase of just treating people like objects for so long that it caught up with him to the point to where like sex became meaningless to him. It didn't fulfill him.
Yeah.
He needed something more. Again, it goes back to that Christians have that higher calling of it is something more.
Yeah.
And it's not going to fulfill every like desire you have, but it's the better alternative than from what the world has to offer of. It's going to doing it the way Jesus has for you is going to be the most fulfilling way to do it.
Well, the designer of anything knows what he or she designed, whatever it is, how it's the best usage of it, right? Like, so if God gave us, like, that's his design, like, he kind of, the last say, the best say in it.
It reminds me of Mr. Frank. He always says, the devil doesn't have a better sex plan than God.
Yeah, no.
It's like,
but we have, like, and let me throw this out there, too. All right, so 1 Corinthians 7, I know I've said it 20 times. Here's 21 for you. Paul also addresses singleness.
Yeah.
All right, so he's talking about prostitutes and sex outside of marriage, and he's talking about sex within the marriage covenant. And then he's like, but I wish everybody was like me, single. So he's already talking about, okay, there's boundaries within, healthy sex life. is only within the marriage covenant. So that would infer that no sex outside of it, being single. And Paul's like, yo, I really wish everybody was like me and single. So being fulfilled, and we talked about this before, Jesus being the most complete, fulfilled, perfect being, person, human, man, yet never had sex. Yeah. Never, let's just say, never did anything like that, sexual, and yet was the most complete, fulfilled person that there is. And so when Paul talks about singleness, that's sex does not fulfill. It's not the ultimate. And people freak out too. Even married Christian people freak out when Jesus is addressed about marriage in heaven. And he's like, yo, in heaven, there is no marriage and no one's given in marriage. And see, our minds, we may think I even think, I don't know, what will that look like specifically for me and my wife? I don't really know. But if he is saying that no one is given in marriage, which is what he says, that means if, you're not married in heaven, there's no sex. And see, people freak out about that. They're like, there's no sex in heaven? Maybe there is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it won't matter if there is for married people and there's not for single people. Will you be longing for anything in glory? Of course not. You will be complete. And so, again, that just puts this whole, if you're single or whatever and not having sex, then I'm missing out. It's a good, powerful gift, but Paul says marriage is a gift and singleness is a gift. He puts them side by side.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of want us to move to some of the application.
Okay.
This will be where we kind of get to that whole masturbation conversation.
Yep.
Which will be fun. But it's going to be hard, obviously, I'm sure it was for sure, yeah. It was hard for Christians, the followers of the way, in the time the Bible was written, to set themselves apart from the society and how the society was doing things, how they used to do things.
Sure.
And to take on this whole new way of life and let it really, let Jesus take over everything. There's a lot of the dying to self that's going to have to take place. Sure. And so obviously the things that we're saying, it's going to be a process and it's going to be a journey if you decide to take that journey.
Yep.
But I wanted to talk about kind of how we could encourage people to, how do we get out of that mindset and how do we fight sexual temptation? How do we have a better view of this? Yeah. Practically.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for one, I will say as a parent to children, again, speak truth. Let them know who they are as image bearers and their value and their meaning and their beauty. And this isn't just if you have daughters. Tell her how beautiful she is, so she don't have to worry about a man. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they are fearfully and wonderfully made. They're beautiful. They need to know their worth and their value outside of what anyone else says, or this whole I've got to find it in someone else. That whole complete me kind of stuff. Find the right person, happily ever after. No.
I just read Single and Secure by Rich Wilkerson Jr.
Yeah.
One of the best books I've ever read.
Yeah.
But he talked about how hard it was for him to impress his wife because her parents raised her up in such a godly way that he would be like, yo, you're beautiful. She's like, I know. He's like, yeah, but you're stunning. She's like, I know. He's like, well, frick, how do you know? Because none of my, I can't smooth talk you or anything like that.
That's awesome.
She's like, well, my dad told me.
Yeah.
And so Rich had to come up with a better plan of how he's going to impress her because the bar was already set so high of she knew her identity, she knew where her value came from. And so when Rich came in, it was, I can't come in and save you, which is I think what a lot of us struggle with dating is we want to come and save somebody.
Sure.
Instead it was, I'm here to compliment you.
Yeah. Well, let me say this too, let me just speak to married couples. So when I say that about communication, and you haven't, it doesn't matter if you're the husband, the wife, whatever kind of thing, you're about to get married kind of thing, have that, again, open, beautiful, honest communication. You know, will it be a little awkward sometimes? Well, yeah, make it fun. And, you know, I mean, marriage should be fun and joyful and laugh at each other and laugh at yourself. I mean, you know, hey, have that. Even, when you're talking about intimacy and stuff like that. Be very, I would say this too. I was just thinking when you were talking, man, there are a lot of people who may be listening. You are married now, but outside of marriage, you've been hurt. Right? So maybe there has been a rape. There has been sexual abuse. There's been multiple hookups and people leaving you. So there needs to be a lot of sensitivity and compassion and patience. Because if you're the spouse of someone who has gone through something like that, you need to have open communication, but you need to have some really good listening ears and be very sensitive. You know what I mean? If they've been through something, the whole expectation, you speed up the healing process, be there, be slow. You know what I mean? Have those talks kind of thing. And two, let's just be real too. If you're living together, your boyfriend, girlfriend, you're hooking up right now, and this whole thing, you probably already clicked off of it anyway. So I'm going to speak to nobody listening, I guess, that's going through it. But seriously, if that's you, man, you need to have some open conversations too. You need to be real. You need to first, it's the Lord, search my heart, because nobody's innocent in this thing, 99.9% of the times. So I'd search my heart. But if you're hooking up and you're not married, we need to have a sit down conversation. Yeah. And it's the whole, if you love me, or good night, dude. I've used all of it. My wife and I, we lived together before we got married. We were both unbelievers, and so I know both sides of it very, very well. You talking earlier about test driving. Well, how do you know? Yeah. You know what I mean? That whole stupid mentality. Well, I got to know what I'm getting. I need to test drive. That's just stupid.
It devalues people.
That's so stupid. Yeah. That's the dumbest thing ever. Stop saying that. That's just dumb. But the whole, if you're doing it now, if they really love you and you really love them, and this is, okay, I'm entering this covenant with them or planning on it, man, you can't stop. You can't go back and change yesterday or 10 seconds ago, but what you do moving forward, that's what you can. So we're going to set some things up. Can we move in this direction together, or is this a deal breaker? And if it's a deal breaker, let's just be honest. If it's a deal breaker, maybe it needs to be broken.
It reminds me of that passage. I don't have it pulled up. I don't know where I pulled it up. But of Christianity redefines a lot of things, or it gives a better definition, which I love. But of love. Love is patient. Love is kind. There's a lot of self-control language in there, and to the couple who's they're living together before they're married and sleeping together, of true love would be you learning to guard your own desires for the betterment of the other.
Yes.
I'm going to hold back, not because I don't love them, but because I do.
Yeah.
I want to protect them.
Yeah. Until
we make that commitment.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's statistically better on the long run of those couples that do wait to get married and live to get married before they live. Am I screwing up how I say that? Okay.
No. Yeah. They get married. Yeah. They don't live together before they get married. Yeah. Statistically, they do. Look it up.
Yeah, they do better. They last longer. When you approach relationships with no rules and no restraints and stuff, it's literally just like going to the gym or something and having no plan.
Yeah. And too, because I tell, man, we all bring baggage into a relationship, all types of baggage and perceptions and all kind of stuff. And if you are consistently hooking up with other people, you're bringing that baggage in too. Yeah. You don't think you are, but you are, and it will manifest itself. All right. I'd also say this: we kind of danced around, or we just hadn't got to it. We hadn't danced around it, but masturbation. I read another statistic today, and I don't know where they get this information. They polled 100 people or what they do, so I'm just going to go with it. But it was just saying about 95% of teenagers have. And Ray Dobson, Focus on the Family, I think it's even where I saw that statistic, but his response to some of it was just, it was pretty powerful. having those types of conversation with your children. You know, like, man, they're going through, because again, they're probably, I don't care if you're besties, your BFFs kind of thing with your kid. You know, maybe you're having the sex talk. Maybe you're not. That conversation, I would almost bet 99.9% of parents are not having with their kids at all. And again, that's a confusing, like, okay, if they're doing it, thinking about it, I'd guess there's a lot of shame and guilt and confusion and just stuff that's coming along with it. And who are they talking to?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to get into too much detail, but I know because I grew up in a household, we did not talk about sex or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of the true love waits, like my sister grew up with that and all. And but like there was no like real conversation growing up for me about masturbation and all. And so for the longest time, it was like, I hope this isn't too graphic. If it would cut it out. Like you just hold it in until you bust. And I think what would have been, I wish somebody would have told me is kind of what we've talked about 1,000 times. Of like, you are what you eat. Of what you're filling your mind with is going to come out somehow. And so, really, you need to talk to your kids about what they're filling their minds with. That's pushing a lot of these desires and these urges. And how to better control, like have self-control.
Yeah.
Of like, it's so simple, and it's crazy. It's so simple. It's crazy. We don't talk about it enough. Of like just teaching your kids how to practice self-control and to watch what they're putting into their minds with the TV and YouTube, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I would say this too now, Austin, because let's not just put it on the kiddos. All right, I mean adults. I don't care if you're 80, kind of thing. All right, this is an issue. Men and women. All right, we typically like, okay, it's teenage guys. This is for everybody kind of thing. All right, so, and I've heard it all. You know, what if I'm thinking about my wife or whatever? Like I've heard it all. I think, and here's the deal. Okay, so again, some of it there needs to be conversation because again of the underlying, like because I know for some of the guys that I've counseled, you know, you get to kind of okay, like. When is, like, okay, you're away from home, your own business, whatever it is, like, set it up for me. Like, I don't want to know, like, you ain't got what you're watching or whatever. I'm just saying, like, when are you most feeling like this is, and what you'll start to find out is that it varies, obviously, but sometimes it's release. It's like, man, I'm under all this stress, and I just feel like, okay, so when you start doing some of that, now I start hearing some idols popping up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now I can address some of that. Because you know good and well it's release. Okay, and that lasts for how long? That's like drugs or anything else. I mean, you know, we can say an escape or a release or whatever. It's very temporary. Okay, so let's talk about that, you know? Yeah. And so again, some of that underlying, but even for the kids, I think there's some of that. That just conversations that need to be had. But you're not going to find out what's beneath it if you're not talking about it at all.
Yeah. So one of the quotes I had written down was from the Desert Fathers.
Okay.
Says, when Cyrus of Alexandria was asked about the temptation of lust, he said, if you are not tempted, you have no hope. Which that needs more disclaimer, but if you are not tempted, it is because you are sinning. The man who does not fight sin at the stage of temptation is usually sinning already in his body. The man who is sinning in his flesh has no trouble from temptation. Yeah. He's just getting at, he would have these people come up to him, these younger Christians, and be like, yeah, but I'm not struggling with that temptation. And I heard someone say that the other day, and it was bonkers to me. They went through a list of sins. They're like, I don't struggle with addiction, lust, greed, but I struggle with self-esteem. And I was like, buddy, I struggle with all that stuff. It's nuts to me, the idea that I struggle with only one sin, but I don't struggle with any more.
Yeah.
Of like,
I would hope that sins pride that you probably say. Because, yeah. I mean, if that, just to be honest, I mean, you know,
I'm like, well, then I'm definitely the chief of sinners then, because I'm going through the whole list. Even I was thinking today, I was like, even gluttony of like, I'm not the most gluttonous guy, but there are seasons where I'm just eating way too many, too much snack food or whatever. Yeah. sin taints all of us. And but what I think that quote was kind of getting at is you need to be honest with yourself. Stop hiding from the truth of. I find with guys that I've talked to is there's a lot of shame of admitting that you struggle with lust, and it's crazy because it's crazy because I'm like, we should be honest. Like, we are physical creatures. We are visual creatures or whatever. We definitely struggle with lust. I haven't met a guy who hasn't. But sometimes we don't like to talk about it. But when you actually talk about it, that's the whole point of confession is you're getting it off your chest, out in the open, so you can actually address the problem. And until you do that, it's going to stay in the closet, and it's going to build up, and essentially it's going to break out of the closet eventually. But then, another quote from the Desert Fathers. It kind of came right after that. Where's the hope then? A hermit said about the temptation to lust, do you want to be saved? Go and discipline yourself. Seeking ye shall find, knocking it shall be opened to you. In the world there are boxers who are hit hard, and yet stand firm and receive crowns. Sometimes one is set upon by two at once, and their blows give him strength so that he overcomes them. Have you not seen what strength brings? So stand and be strong with the Lord, and the Lord will defeat your enemy for you. And it was really comforting to me of this idea of it's be honest about the temptation that you're struggling with. Don't hide it, but then don't like coward from it either. Of like you have the King of Kings, and I love like kind of remembering the picture of Revelation of Jesus like coming out of the clouds with like fire. But you have someone who hates the thing that you're struggling with more than you do. Fighting on your behalf, and all he's saying is, "Bring it to me." And he's gonna help us out. Like you've said it 1,000 times in your sermons of like, we pray for patience as if God didn't give us the spirit of patience. It's inside of us. We just
what the fruit, the spirit.
And I think that's the big thing is like, you're struggling with sexual temptation. Bring it to Jesus. Be honest about it.
Start there. And here's the thing too. Like, again. I know I steered it away from the kiddos, but let's bring it back to the kiddos. Like, let's bring it back to teenagers, and masturbation specifically. Like, again, most appropriately, obviously this is going to be a parent conversation, is to have that because a lot of it is, they're trying to figure their body out anyway. You know, this is like changes and hormones and just, okay, and who do I talk to? And now am I weird? Is something wrong with me? Am I really going to go blind? And all the stupid stuff that you know what I'm saying? Like, just like they need to be able to talk. I know it's a very uncomfortable if I, am a parent and my son or daughter was coming to me, and how much more for them? They're confused. They're ashamed. They definitely don't want to tell mom or dad about it. So where are they getting the information on why this is taking place? It's got to come from you. So have those conversations, and please don't do this. Please don't do this. Don't use scripture out of context, for goodness sake. If you use Genesis 38, 8 through 10, in the name of Jesus, I will lay hands on you. Like, okay, I remember hearing that so many times. Onan, his brother's wife, his brother dies, and part of that marriage, the stipulations that God had put in place to guard, again, protecting the woman, was for the brother then to become her husband and for them to bear children. It was all to protect, because again, they would have been tossed out. You know what I mean? They would have been a widow, no children. It would have been the Naomi, of Ruth kind of situation kind of thing. And so Onan then sleeps with his was at the time sister-in-law, but then wife, and then spills his semen on the ground. And I've heard that 1,000 times used against masturbation. The context of that, for goodness sake, what is he doing? Now, there's some great principles. It's a weird passage, right? But it's there for a reason. Okay, so he's taken now his wife, his brother's wife at the time, and he just used her for sex without any responsibility. That sounds familiar. You know what I mean? Let's talk about that. That's the whole point. And then God judges him for that because he took on this role of responsibility in covenant relationship. He just then, I'm done. You're to the side. I'm not going to give you children. That's he use and toss to the side is what he does. And God's like, ain't having it. And he judges him. That's the point of that story. It is not masturbation, for goodness sake. So let's at least use some scripture that would kind of point in that direction. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there's, that's what I love about the scriptures. I mean, that passage, have you read that one? Do you know?
No, I've never thought about that.
You need to go look at it. Because there's some really tough scriptures like that. Like, why is that there? But then the principles that you draw from it, I mean, I see it all around the world today. On how we treat people. And like you said, we treat them as objects, means to an end.
Which then makes like the Song of Solomon like the most like impactful love story there is of like, you see this couple like really they're the best at romance. Like I read it and a while back, and I think I was actually reading Mingling of Souls as I went through it. But it was so amazing because it's like these two people really trying to love each other well, and they're romantic with each other. They're flirting, but they also they have a self-confidence to themselves and like a self-respect for themselves, but then also respect for each other, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. And if I can just say this too, like go read that. Like if you're a married couple, read that. Read the Song of Solomon or Song of Songs, the same thing. Read that because people will try and say it's just poetry, kind of literal style, kind of. No. It's beautiful, man. Yeah. It's within a couple exploring. I mean, how it's very graphic, but it's beautiful because it is naked and unashamed. I mean, how he speaks of his wife, and the exploration and the marriage bedroom and all of that. And it's this beautiful thing, like you said, of. And I tell my guys especially, don't ever stop dating your wife. Yeah. And part of that is the communication, open communication. But man, you be romantic. And again, it's not a means to an end. Like, okay, well, this means sex later on. No. It's just like, man, I want my relationship with my wife to be, and it is now 22 years later. It is so much more. So much more. So much I mean, every facet of it kind of stuff. But it means putting the Lord first and then putting her needs above yours.
Yeah. It makes me sacrifice. Yeah. This week was my parents' 31st anniversary, and their marriage is by no means perfect. But there's a lot of things I've learned from it. One of the things that kind of came to mind when you were talking was the ability to like redirect the legacy you have of you, and I hear this a lot, and it genuinely ticks. This is one of those things that pisses me off, of when people say like divorce is gonna happen, like embrace it. Yeah. And after I was thinking about this today of like my parents almost got a divorce last year, and that really messed me up because I thought for the longest time the lesson was like, you gotta just embrace it too. Yeah. Like, it's probably bound to happen to you. And I was like, like, screw that. There's I want to live a life and have a marriage and a love for my future wife in a way that looks like the Song of Solomon. Yeah. In a way that's romantic and that doesn't give up. That keeps the flirting going, keeps the dating. And, like, what was beautiful is thinking about my parents' anniversary, since they've, went through that season of almost getting a divorce, separating for a time, coming back and having to do marriage counseling and getting involved in a new church, and there's a whole lot of things they did. One of the things that was really impressive to me was my dad. My dad becoming more of a romantic. My dad was a very emotionless guy. That was one of the things me and him struggled to connect with. Of like, I'm a very emotional guy. I want to talk about my feelings all the time. Yeah. My dad was like, cut that out, bro. Yeah. But seeing my dad fall in love with my mom again, and my mom do the same, and them go on dates, and they kiss each other like they're in high school, and like they're 31 years into this marriage thing. They went through the worst. Yeah. but there's still this ability to we can get better.
Yeah.
And that's like, it kind of puts like some light at the end of the tunnel of no matter where you come from, even if you're going through a dark season in the future or right now, there's still hope.
Oh, yeah.
Of like things can always turn around.
Yeah, and be better.
Yeah,
that's my thing. It's like I think that's so beautiful too about your parents, man, because there was that point of they could have tossed the towel in, but they fought for their marriage, and now it's even better.
Yeah.
It didn't just like go back to what it was. It's even better than it was. And if they would have thrown the towel in, you know, like, golly, man, they would have missed that. They would have. So it's hard. Is marriage hard? You bet it is. And there's tons of sacrifice. There's tons of times I want to be selfish, and then I'm sure Carrie wants to be selfish. But the serving one another, sacrificing for one another, it's beautiful. You grow individually, you grow together, you grow closer to God. I'd say the last thing too, man, just because I'm going to wrap up, but like we talked about like God defining and giving these guardrails for the marriage bed. And guardrails are there to protect.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if you go outside of those, man, it's damaging not only now, but later in life, in later relationships. And he wants the best, you know? I mean, he knows what's best. And when it comes to like even beauty, like, okay, so Carrie and I now 46 years old and 22 years into marriage, and man, like redefining and seeing her in that romancing part, like it's next level now than it was then, like when we first started dating. And I'm not, you know, and I'm as tempted as anybody else, you know, to say, let the world dictate, you know, what's beautiful or what you know, be in this relationship for and all that other stupid stuff kind of thing. But I'm telling you, when you see it and begin living it out as God has given it, oh, it's beautiful. And I remember you brought up Matt Chandler. I remember a sermon, he was talking about just the marriage covenant. And he was talking about how, like, people who are anti-God, unbelievers, that they will rail against, you know, Christian marriage and, oh, it's, you know, one man, one woman and monogamy for life, blah, 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 and that kind of thing. Until they see one living it the right way, and then they're like, I want that.
Yeah.
Because that you're not getting that anywhere else. And so for believers, man, what a not only for you, but again for the glory of God. Mm-hmm. Like the God and the gospel is real, and it's on display in your marriage. Can be, should be.
Yeah. Something too that I wanted to mention was like kind of going to that. You're struggling with sexual temptation, and this is something I started practicing recently. Of Comer, he's got this book called "Live No Lies," mm-hmm. and it is brilliant. He's pulling a lot from the Desert Fathers, and specifically this one old book. I can't remember who wrote it, but it was the Monastic Guide to Combating Demons.
Okay,
it's a cool title, but in it, Comer breaks down this idea that the Desert Fathers had of your strongest desire is not always your deepest desire. Mm-hmm. And you see that kind of with the idea of fasting, of your strongest desire in the moment is, I'm hungry.
Sure. Yeah.
Like your flesh wants food.
Yeah. Your
deepest desire is something way better.
Yeah.
And that's the thing you need to aim to fill.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to sexual desires, especially like you're struggling with lust or objectifying somebody or whatever, going through the process of when that temptation comes, saying, okay, what's the strongest desire here? Mm-hmm. Strongest desire is I want to objectify this young lady or this man or whatever, and I want to get this release. Mm-hmm. The lie in that, I'm kind of trying to break down kind of the process of you didn't expose the lie. Well, the lie is once I get this release, I'll be done. I won't have to deal with this anymore.
Yep.
Which is a lie because we all know it's going to come back again later.
Very soon.
You said that, I think, earlier too. Mm-hmm. Of it's never like a one-time thing. No. But then you got to find that the deepest desire. Yeah. The deepest desire is in your soul. You want to be intimate with somebody. Mm-hmm. So you want somebody to love you and to care for you, and to belong to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ultimately, the truth is only Jesus can do that.
Amen.
And that's going to help guard you from, it has genuinely helped me of guarding against falling into some of those sexual temptations. And I'm sure do it with anger or whatever. Mm-hmm. But specifically for me, of like, when sexual temptation comes up, of stepping back in the moment and saying, okay, let me find the strongest desire and the deepest desire. Mm-hmm. Let me find the truth and the lie.
That's so good.
And it helps you really just reframe the situation you're in, because a lot of times temptation comes, you just feel like there's no way out.
Yeah.
Like there's that passage of like a door will be there for you, a way to escape.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, I don't see that door.
Yeah.
It's foggy. But going through that process is it's helped me find that door.
Yeah.
Of there's always the way of escape.
Yeah.
You know?
Man, I had a guy, and I'll hush after this, but when you said that, because yes, Jesus is the ultimate fulfillment, but if I can take it down a level and just talk about marriage versus masturbation, pornography.
Yes.
So I had a guy that I was counseling, and he and his wife were going through a very difficult time. They were not being intimate with one another. There was a ton of friction in the marriage. And he was getting on the verge, and probably already was, of being addicted to porn. I mean, he was just released frustration, anger, out, whatever. I mean, he had all the list of reasons, for doing it, kind of thing. And he told me, which is, I love just brutal honesty and stuff, and I think that's how we should be with our sin, that he would masturbate and there would be shame and guilt right after, and then an hour later, he found himself watching more. And it was just this vicious cycle. Like, couldn't get enough, that never fulfilled kind of stuff. And then he talked about how giving that to the Lord, reconciling with his wife, and being intimate with his wife. And he was like, all that I was looking for, and I knew it was not fulfilling, and yet I kept going back. I kept hearing the lies. I kept thinking maybe this time, whatever reason, just the deception of sin. I kept going back. And he said, but then, again, it was not just sex, but it was, restoration, intimacy with my spouse. And he was like, there was that even after and thereafter, there was no shame, there was no guilt, there was joy, there was satisfaction, there was intimacy with his spouse after sex. You know what I mean? There was all that God designed it to be. But it was just that very practical, because you hear that and you're like, oh, Jesus, and I know for some people, but I'm just saying that whatever that hookup, even if it's sex or if it is masturbation or whatever it is, it's not going to last. It's not going to fulfill that long, and that desire that you really have in your soul.
Yeah. It is, that's the thing I have to constantly remind myself as a single, of when those temptations come. It's like, even the temptation of like to go off and just like have a one night stand or whatever.
Sure.
It's reminding myself of like, nah, dude, wait. Waiting, not only am I going to feel better about myself because I know the kind of man I'm going to be, but then the joy I'm going to have with my future wife one day.
Sure.
I'll have baggage I'm bringing in, but I'm not going to be bringing as much baggage as I possibly could.
Sure.
And
then what you do to her, as far as, the hookup, and now she goes on kind of thing. And she's now, Lord willing, will be somebody's spouse down the road, and you just added more baggage for her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, that's that moving beyond self.
Yeah.
So, and if you've fallen, man, and this is something you've struggled and you thought you've kind of overcome or gotten at least a little, you resisted for a time kind of thing, and you fail, man, again, it's okay. Yeah. There's grace for that.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
That's what I've also loved about that Dominion book, is this group of people following the way. And the thing that stood out is they're figuring it out as they go. They didn't have, especially like early on, they didn't have all the standards of like orthodoxy, and they didn't have big corporate systems in place of how Christianity is supposed to be done. Man, they love Jesus, and they're just going after it, and they're figuring it out daily, coming together, working together. it made me feel good. I'm like, okay, we can figure it out.
Good word.
This has been another episode of Into the Fray. We want to thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast on your podcast feed. We will see you next week for another conversation.